All right.
Oh, there
Oh,
you go.
meeting in
Very
progress.
Ooh.
official.
Fancy schmancy. All right. Let's go here. And from the beginning. All right. You guys all right with that? Everybody can see that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because I don't half-ass anything, I decided to do slides for this thing to kind of go over with kind of cover some of the points that we were going over from the stuff that I was investigating. So since this is the inaugural go at this, so every good meeting has an agenda. So I'll go over just a brief thing about the commissioner role. We'll review the different league platform options that I came up with. Go over I'll talk about scoring options, some of the basics for the seasons, and then I'll kind of summarize everything with what my recommendation would be. But it's open for discussion, and then my final thing is just some special reminders on the league in general. So, and we'll put that stuff out here. So my only role as far as commissioning this stuff, because I've been doing fantasy stuff for like almost 30 years, I'm just going to kind of, you know, get the league started up. I know it's a pain in the ass sometimes, but it's one of the weird things that I enjoy. Starting things up like this. I've done fantasy hockey in the past, but haven't done it in a few years because I don't have usually enough people. So kind of get it started from the ground up. Try to get people to be engaged and whatnot, and kind of I'll go through the back end and set up the rules, the format, obviously observe and the integrity of the league, something I'm usually pretty committed to, and then just basically make this hopefully the best fantasy hockey experience that we can get into this thing. So, which is pretty key for everybody's enjoyment. So that's basically my only role is doing this startup stuff, and then once it's set up, it's kind of like it goes on through the season. So when I was looking through the different options for sites for fantasy hockey, obviously Yahoo and ESPN are two of the biggest ones out there. I did a little more digging. I found this one up, a third website called Fantrax. A lot of message boards, a few Reddits that I was looking into, digging into, talked about customization, that type of stuff. So those were the three that I looked at the most. I couldn't find any other ones that were worthwhile. I don't know if there's any like as far as that are linked to TSN, but my concern there was with a lot of US based people, if that would be an issue. Um, Being US based and Canada based, there are some concerns which we'll touch on, but I'm not sure of them. So we'll have to figure that out ahead of time. But these are the three bigger ones. So I don't know if anybody has any others in their back of their mind or at the front of their mind that they want to share now or kind of pass along to me later, or whatever. But these are the three that.
I've seen fan tracks before, but I've never seen how it drafts.
Yeah.
I mean, whether it's as easy as the other two.
Yeah. I haven't used it yet either, but it came highly recommended by some of them. So for Yahoo Fantasy is obviously one of the biggest and most reliable in fantasy sports. I've used it plenty. It's usually the one I use for like the easy leagues, work leagues, like work fantasy football leagues, that type of stuff. And I've done Yahoo Fantasy Hockey. So some of the points that it has, the global reach is probably my concern for all of them. If it's obviously it's available in the US, but as far as it is in Canada, and then you guys are now worldwide. I mean, we might get some of those African. Was it? Do you have African members listening to this?
South Africa.
South Africa. So so if the league grows, will there be any limitations? We can't fulfill all of them, but I think Canada's okay. The reason why that's a concern or a question is I had a friend we were doing a long, slow draft, and he was at a trip in Canada, but due to like gambling restrictions and his geolocation, I think he wasn't able to pick for a day. So I'm not sure if that's an issue or not with Yahoo and ESPN. So that is one of the points there that we'll have to look at. Familiarity is most people who have done fantasy have done a Yahoo league before. The format, the user experience is really easy for all levels of experience. and the functionality with it being website and having an app access. There is some minor customization you can do with Yahoo, like you can upload your own image and logo, but outside of that, it's pretty much your standard out of the box format if you're familiar with fantasy sports. Yeah, so it can handle all basic formats for scoring. We can customize the scoring with some standard typical scoring categories. Jumping over the middle, the commissioner, the back end is very easy to run. There is basic team customization with some out of the box availability there. League size, it is able to support to a maximum of 20 teams, with the potential for growth. 419 needs back in. With the potential for growth, it will always be there, but it does have some limitations if the league wants to change and advance and grow in certain ways. In particular, maybe there's keeper options, or it becomes a dynasty thing. So there is that capability with some of the others, but there is potential for growth. We can't go over 20. 20 is the maximum. One of my main concerns is there is a 1-player pool for 20 teams. So the rosters, if we're at 16 players per roster times 20, that's 320 players being drafted. And my concern there is are there enough goalies? There's 32 teams. If everybody wants 2, there's not enough goalies to go around. But we do have, teams having tandem goaltenders. So there's probably some opportunity for everybody to have 2, but not everybody's going to have 2 quality starters. I think goalies are going to be a premium to start off with if we stay with a 1 league, 20 teams working from 1 pool of players. So that's a mild concern that I have. But the other thing is, this is a league full of pretty knowledgeable hockey fans. So I think we can have that opportunity to be able to go deeper if we wanted to. So it's just something I want to point out, that there will be 320 players if we're at 16 players on a team drafted. And there will be limited on goalies. And then, of course, there's website for Yahoo, and of course, there's the app. ESPN, excuse me, same thing, very similar global reach in the US and Canada. Many people have experience with fantasy on ESPN. It is another reliable format. The user experience is easy for all levels, and it does have web and app access with some minor limitations. Out of the 2, I will call them the big box stores, ESPN and Yahoo. I think ESPN is the lesser of the 2. I don't think it's very there's a lot of things you can't do that you can do on Yahoo and some of the other ones. So it can handle basic formats, and there are some of the standard custom scorings that we can do. So the points, I'm not worried about at all. We can assign any points no matter what league we're doing. But there are some limitations on some of the basic formats. Again, same thing for the back end for me with Commissioner. Its back end is easy to run. It is basic team customization. The team graphics, as far as if you want to put your own logo on there, they suck. You have to choose from their choices. They're actually they're just hot garbage. You can't do anything fun. You can't put your own logo. You can't put your branded logo. Phil can't use his thing, so it's going to be pretty trash as far as the team customization. It also supports multiple teams, up to 20, and multiple divisions, which I will add, Yahoo can do multiple divisions as well. We can do 1, we can do 2, 3, 4. So there can be multiple divisions on both these. Growth, same thing. It will always be there. That's a guarantee. But it will limit as far as if the advancement of the league goes along. I have the same concerns for the player pool. It is 1 player pool for the entire league. So again, 320 players are going to get drafted if we're at 16 players per roster, which is pretty much what you want. I mean, we could limit it and go lower, where we're kind of starting fewer players. And I'll show that stuff in a minute. But that's where we're at, 320 players. And are there going to be enough goalies to go around? And of course, the website and app is available for both ESPN and Yahoo. Moving on to Fantrax. This is one I found out about. I found it to be very customizable, has a lot of features, a lot more than the other ones do. So it does have a global outreach. Again, probably not the most widely known of the websites that we have to choose from. The user experience is a little bit less familiar. Probably might take a little bit of learning, but I think if anybody is in the league, can handle Discord, or everything else, they'll be able to manage in there. It's a lot of clicks, drop downs, and things like that. But it is very well regarded in the industry from what I've looked at with Fantrax. And it does also have a website and an app access available, which I think those were very key, so people can kind of manage on the fly. And it is a lot more customizable than the other ones. It can handle advanced formats, more scoring options than the other ones do, more categories, and it can advance into an eventual potential keeper. You can have keeper players, you can do dynasty players, that type of stuff. I would not recommend us even considering or looking at that aspect of things until we get a year under our belt, but it does have that ability. Back end would be a slightly more challenging for me to learn, but I have a very custom fantasy football website where we do all of our own graphics and code scripting, and I do a lot of that stuff, so I'm not afraid of it. It's just I'll be learning as I go. There's literally no limit on the number of teams that can be in the league, and the interesting fact that they have there, which I'm a fan of, is you can divide the league into two groups and two separate player pools. So what that means is we can say if we're 20 teams and we can do two pools of 10 teams, and then they can eventually they can eventually meet in the championship. Now, granted, you might have a team that has Connor McDavid on the left side, and Connor McDavid on the right side playing for the championship, but the rest of the rosters will be different, and it does allow for beefier rosters with more talented players versus 300 plus players on going that deep in a draft. So you can divide it into two separate drafts. We would just kind of break into two separate drafts, happen the same time, and then just kind of go from there. So it does help with the goalie issue. It does help with everybody will kind of have a lot of star players, and we won't get into the drafting third and fourth line players in the real NHL. And then for growth, as the league advances and grows, it will be able to handle and accommodate it. A lot of things I read online talked about, we started our league on Yahoo. We were there for 2 years, and then we went to Fantrax. We were there for a year. We went to Fantrax. So not as user-friendly as the other out-of-the-box formats. It'll take a little bit of learning, but like I said before, I think we'll be able to, if you can dodge a ball, you can dodge a car type of thing. If you can get on Discord and jump around there, you can manage and learn the website. And again, it does have a website and an app available for that. And we can do some customization where I'll show some of the sites here in a second where I can actually do some of the stuff with regards to some graphics and things like that. The scoring types. So there are obviously, these are the different types of scoring types that they have available. I think a lot of people might be familiar with rotisserie baseball. I'll go over them if we need to, but the one I probably would recommend to start off, as it kind of makes things a little more competitive, would be like the one and smack in the middle, the head-to-head points. So teams compete against each other one-on-one and receive a win on loss based off of their scoring for the week. You can it is the most realistic, and it will give the opportunity to kind of go head to head, and it's easiest one to understand. The other one's head to head most categories it's dependent on who leads in the more scoring categories for the week. Head to head, each category you assign a win and loss, or you assign points based off of the different categories. points based is straight up, no head to head. It's just who gets the most points, for the season, and you just accumulate points. That's probably the most basic one out there. But to give it a little bit of a fun vibe, I'm a fan of promoting the head to head points format. So that's what those are. Rotisserie is like the old school fantasy baseball, if you're familiar with it. I can go into detail, but it's really kind of lame. It's like baseball can be. So the basics of the season and the league. I'm looking at initially top 6 teams. I mean, it is 20 teams. It's just kind of a rough guesstimate. Playoffs will end approximately I would like to try to get them to end closer to like a week before the NHL season ends, because some players start to rest, and that's the last thing you want is when you're playing for a championship, so to speak, is to have your best players sitting out. This is one thing that I'm pretty stickler for, is not having trades be league votes. I've seen people get really shitty to each other and really petty over things like that. Just voting no because they don't want somebody in their division making a trade, or no because, well, I was working on a trade with you, but you declined it, and I'm just going to vote no over there. If there's no clear collusion, there's no reason really to disapprove or veto a trade at all. Honestly, everybody's kind of in here for having fun. If you're not familiar with the draft, I would recommend Serpentine. Odd number rounds. You would go 1 through 10 or 1 through 20, depending on which league size we go with. Second rounds, even rounds, you just come back and go 10 to 1 or 20 to 1. So pretty simple there. And then again, it's just let's keep it fun. This is meant to be fun and friendly. This is the Gong Show. We're all about having fun. So that's what I wanted to kind of put there, as far as keeping it pretty fun and friendly. So the recommendations that I have is, with 20 teams all picking from one pool, the pickings gets very, very slim. 2-player pools does allow more stars, so I'm kind of a fan of that idea. I'm not afraid of the 20 teams in one pool. That does allow us to everybody's in there together, or you'll play each other more. I don't know. I have to look at the format if we have 2 separate divisions with 2-player pools, if there would ever be crossover. I don't know if I want to keep it like AL, the old baseball ALNL, where you don't see each other to the finals, but I think it's possible. I didn't look at that part, but I do know that the 2-player pools for 2 main divisions in Fantrax is a plus. For the championship, would like to have a prize. And I was thinking, since this is our first season, we are getting our legs under us. I don't want anybody getting any big financial issue going on as we're still learning. So I was thinking something simple. We are here because of cards. So like somebody posted in the Discord, throw in a thing of Upper Deck Series 2. Just keep it simple. But
yeah, we'll throw in a box. Like me and Josh already talked about it. We'll throw in a box.
So and then for the league, what does that say? It's hidden now. Oops, I advanced to the next slide. Damn it. So this is our honorary captain slide. So we got Josh. He's got the best hands in the hobby. He's rating as a top hand model in Scandinavia. And then, of course, our buddy Troy has voted Kucherov for the Norris for the last 3 seasons. So let's see here. And then just some special reminders for everybody. To keep it fun, you got to be active. Everybody owes it to the rest of the league to not give easy wins by bailing on your league mid-season. If you find that it's not for you, that's fine. I get it. We can have people step away if the season is over. I like to keep the fantasy chatter on the Discord solely on that fantasy channel that Troy and Josh definitely were gracious enough to create for us. I don't want to clutter up the general chat area with fantasy stuff. People be like, "What's going on? They're having fun without me." And then the other point is, I'd like to remind everybody that while the league might fly under the Hockey Cards Gong Show flag. This is not directly affiliated with Troy, Josh, the Gong Show, or Dollar Box Productions in any way, shape, or form. And so yeah, we're just using the name Gong Show because it's a tip of the hat to how this band of misfits all came together. So I think that was all that I have for that. Let me also quickly share. I got 8 minutes left. Let me see here.
Tick, 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 tick.
Tell me that.
Yeah,
Tell
you
me
want me
that.
to sit here go like this?
No pressure, no pressure. So on Yahoo, are you guys seeing the Yahoo screen now?
Yep.
So it's pretty basic as far as the stuff goes. I can't do a whole lot as far as the formats. I can change like the head-to-head points, and so a lot of that stuff. The waivers, I like to use like the fob. It's where you have free agent fake funny money that you can throw at players. It seems to work well where everybody has a shot at everybody. It just depends if you want to outbid for them. I think you can do that on all of them except for, I don't think ESPN has that capability. No. The point system. That's a point I do want to add that in here. Let me see here. Can I bring this down? The point system. I found this when I was looking for good point systems. I found this guy Johnny Fantasy put a ton of time and effort into posting this large manifesto about the points. And if somebody's going to put in this much time and effort and energy into it, I'm going to put this into place, and I think this is a good opportunity to give it a go. There's good reason for all the stuff behind it. I've read through it. I was looking through it versus just randomly throwing, spaghetti at a wall and seeing what sticks. There's a lot of things in here which I was like, oh, I didn't think of that. That's a good point. That's a good point. And he's got formulas for everything that, based off of the points. So I think this is, if somebody puts this much time and effort into something, I think it's worth giving it a shot and trying it for their systems, because the last thing I want to do is throw random numbers at a wall and it be like where McDavid's getting 2,000 points and Bullock's getting 400 points. Like that's the last thing we want to do. There is a method to this madness, and I will be happy to post this article, link to this in the Discord chat so people can look at it. But this was what I was looking at it, and I saw this. I'm like, well, shit, there's our scoring system. So I'm good with that there. ESPN, here's your cheesy little logos you get to choose from. They're not really good. The back end's pretty basic. It exists, and like I said, you can have up to 20 teams. The one I want to get to, let me close this one out here. This is the Fantrax page. Let me go to the home here.
Did Neil's free time run out? Oh, there it is.
Free time's over.
I don't think so. Did it? No, I got 5 minutes. So this is kind of the main home page. Oh, it says my internet connection is unstable. So this is the page. It is a little bit clunkier than the other ones. But you can look at players. Obviously, I don't have players on our rosters yet, but the league setup's pretty solid here. This was where I found about allowing duplicate players. You can have it across different divisions. So that means here in the middle, check this box if you want to have separate player pools for each division. So division holds separate drafts. This means that if a team in Division A drafts or claims a player, that player cannot be drafted by another team in Division A, but he can be drafted and claimed by a team in Division B. So I think that's kind of a cool option to do. I'm game for either option, whether we do two divisions or one giant big one. One player, let me rephrase that. Not one big division. We can do one player pool with multiple divisions, or we can do two divisions of 10 teams and kind of go from there. So
I think for Troy's sake, we need two divisions.
So that's why I think it's going to be there's no drafting. Who's this guy? So that's kind of where I'm leaning towards. I'm leaning towards Fantrax, and the scoring will be easy enough to plug in. I think the two divisions will help keep it fun, keep the players the best that are out there. And if we decide to expand, maybe a couple people bail out. Maybe a couple people don't. Maybe some people join in, and it makes it easier for us to grow a little bit if it becomes more popular. Where we go to 12 teams in a division or something like that. So, and it still keeps it. You're not depleting the player pool, where basically the first round is going to end up being all goalies and then everybody else, which is kind of not realistic for fantasy hockey. So that's kind of it. As I got 3 minutes left, so that's what I got. Obviously I can have people just post feedback in the Discord, but I don't know. What do you guys think? Anybody have any comments or questions?
I like the fan tracks for the reason of expansion, because I think we're going to end up with more people wanting to get into this.
Yeah, well, we do need to find one more. I got 19, so there's.
We are at 19 still.
Yeah, we're at 19, so we'll need to find one more. Does anybody have any other thoughts, questions, concerns?
When are we going to do the draft, do you think?
Probably looking at right before the season. You guys record on Sundays, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the season starts October 9th, 10th?
Yeah, I think it was like 2 overseas games the 9th, and then in earnest on the 10th.
So I know, like, for me, most weeknights are kind of bad sometimes, but Sundays do kind of fall into the everybody's home type of a thing now that we're into the fall. So I don't know. Do you guys usually record during the day, or you guys are getting into fall activities?
Yeah, Sunday's really bad for us because not only do we have to do our show, but I have the Jeremy show too.
Oh yeah. That's true. Yeah.
So any other day,
could always make it like
Sunday.
a Friday. I don't have a lot of hockey stuff or any activities on Fridays, but I'd hate to have people do it. But we'll figure out the draft. I'm not,
Okay.
We'll have to pick it, and people are gonna have to figure out if they can do it or not. So
yeah,
that's going to be the biggest challenge with 20 people. So
yeah.
Does Fantrax have an auto drafter in case somebody can't make it?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. So
Is Fantrax free?
Yes.
Okay.
We'll get this first year. It says up top here, this is a free premium league. Fee is waived. I imagine next year, just to get us to going into it, and then next year. So, but I noticed we're into the last minute here, so I don't want to drop off and miss anything, but I will gonna hit stop recording. If I can find that somewhere. So yeah, let me just stop sharing. And anyway, there's stop share. There we go. So yeah, if it drops off,
Thanks for everything, man.
Yeah, thanks for putting that together. Yeah, if you have any other questions or feedback, just throw it in the Discord.